Have you ever had that feeling where you know you're smart and capable, but you still struggle with things like planning a big project, remembering a list of instructions, or just stopping yourself from saying the first thing that pops into your head? If so, I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not broken. You are not lazy, and you are definitely not alone. What you're experiencing isn't a flaw in your character. It's all about how your brain's executive functions are wired. For way too long, so many of us have been weighed down by labels like unmotivated or disorganized, feeling frustrated because we know we're trying, often harder than anyone else. Today we're lifting that weight. We're going to decode what executive function really are and explore the fascinating reason they develop so differently in neurodivergent brains with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and more. This isn't just about understanding your challenges, it's about finding a kinder, more effective way to see yourself and the brilliant way your mind actually works. So, what are these executive functions everyone talks about? The best way to think about them is as the CEO or the project manager of your brain. They're the set of high-level mental skills that let you manage yourself and your resources to get things done. These are the skills that fire up when you need to plan, organize, manage time, and make decisions. Some experts even call it the brain's air traffic control system, responsible for juggling all the incoming information, preventing collisions, and making sure everything runs smoothly. These skills are critical for getting by in our complicated world. We use them for everything from planning a vacation and organizing a school project to just figuring out the steps to make dinner. In fact, research consistently shows that executive function skills can be a better predictor of academic success than IQ scores. When this inner CEO works differently, it doesn't mean it's a bad company. It just has a unique management style. These functions are all handled by the front part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is actually the last part of our brain to fully mature, often not until our early to mid-20s. Understanding this is step one, because it changes the conversation from what's wrong with me to what's happening in my brain. And that brings us to the most important point of all. If you're neurodivergent, your executive functions aren't broken. They just developed on a different timeline. This is a core idea of the neurodiversity movement, which argues that differences in our brains are just that, differences, not deficits. For decades, people who struggled with planning or impulse control were just told to try harder. But it was never about effort. These are real brain-based neurological differences. The prefrontal cortex can develop differently in people with ADHD, autism, or dyslexia. This unique path creates a profile of both amazing strengths and very real challenges. For example, recent studies have shown that students with ADHD often have incredible verbal creativity, coming up with more original ideas than their neurotypical peers. At the same time, they might find impulse control to be a huge battle. Students with dyslexia might have a powerful knack for visual creativity and problem solving, but struggle with holding information in their short-term memory. This isn't a contradiction, it's proof of a differently organized brain. So let's finally kill the idea that this is about laziness or willpower. The struggle isn't a moral failing, it's neurological. It's neurology. To really get it, let's break down the 3 core executive functions. As I go through them, see which one sounds a little too familiar. First up is working memory. Think of it as your brain's temporary sticky note or its RAM. It's the skill of holding information in your mind for a short time while you're actively using it. You use it when you're solving a multiple step math problem, listening to directions you have to follow, or even just remembering a question you want to ask someone when someone finishes talking. When working memory is a challenge, it can feel like your brain is a whiteboard that gets erased a little too fast. You walk into a room and have no idea why you went there, or you struggle to follow a story. By the time you've processed the beginning of a sentence, the end is gone. Poof. It's incredibly frustrating and often gets mistaken for not paying attention. Next, we have cognitive flexibility, which is like your brain's gear shifter. This is your ability to switch your thinking, pivot between different tasks, and adapt when things change. It's what lets you handle an unexpected detour without having a full-blown meltdown, admit you were wrong, or come up with a creative solution to a problem. For those who struggle with cognitive flexibility, change can feel chaotic and deeply unsettling. Shifting from one assignment to another can feel like trying to turn a giant cruise ship. It takes a massive amount of mental energy. This might look like getting stuck on one idea or plan, but it can also be a strength, leading to incredible focus and persistence. And the third core component is inhibitory control. This is your brain's braking system. It's all about self-control. It's what helps you resist temptations, like that phone buzzing on your desk. Stop and think before you speak, and filter out distractions so you can actually focus. Every time you bite your tongue to avoid saying something you'll regret or manage your frustration when you hit a red light, that's your inhibitory control at work. For people with ADHD in particular, this can be a huge challenge. It might lead to blurting things out, making impulsive choices, or finding it almost impossible to focus in a noisy coffee shop. It's not about being rude or undisciplined. The part of the brain that's supposed to hit the brakes just isn't as easy to access. Okay, we've just covered the big three. Now I have a question for you. Which one of these, working memory, cognitive flexibility, or inhibitory control, hits closest to home for you? Which one feels like your biggest hurdle, or maybe even an unexpected strength? Take a second and share it in the comments below. Seriously, reading through everyone else's experiences is one of the best ways to build community and remember that you aren't on this journey alone. These differences in executive functions aren't just psychological theories. They have a massive impact on everyday life. In school, they're a huge deal. Trouble with planning and organization can make it incredibly tough for neurodivergent students to handle long-term projects, track homework, or just deal with structured routine of classroom. This can create a heartbreaking gap between how smart a student is and what their report card says. But it goes way beyond grades. Socially and emotionally, challenges with inhibitory control and cognitive flexibility can make relationships tough. It might be hard to regulate your emotions, leading to what feels like a massive overreaction to something small, or to adapt when a friend suddenly changes plans. It can make just hanging out with people feel exhausting. And maybe one of the most misunderstood challenges of all is just starting a task. A neurodivergent person can be brilliant. You know exactly what needs to be done, want to do it, and still be completely, utterly stuck. This state, often called executive dysfunction, can feel like you're standing behind a wall of glass, watching the world move on while you can't. It's the reason a simple task like doing the laundry can feel as overwhelming as climbing a mountain. It's not procrastination. It's a neurological traffic jam between wanting to do something and being able to actually do it. So why is it so vital to understand all of this? Because understanding is the first step towards support that is both effective and kind. The moment we stop seeing these struggles as bad behavior and start seeing them as differences in brain processing, everything changes. We can finally move away from blame and frustration and towards building strategies that actually work. This knowledge lets us create personalized support that fits an individual's unique brain, playing to their strengths while shoring up their challenges. It's not about fixing a person, it's about building a better scaffold around them. This could mean teaching skills explicitly that neurotypical folks might just pick up on their own. It means breaking huge tasks into tiny, manageable steps to help with planning. It means using visual timers, phone alarms, and checklists to basically outsource your working memory. It means finding ways to self-regulate and creating spaces that cut down on distractions to give your inhibitory control a fighting chance. When we design our classrooms, our offices, or even our homes to be more neurodiversity affirming, we create places where everyone gets to shine. So here's the bottom line. Executive functions are the brain's command center for planning, focusing, and juggling life. In neurodivergent people, the development of that command center just follows a different blueprint. It's a fact of neurobiology, not a reflection on your effort or your worth. And that blueprint creates a totally unique mix of strengths and challenges that touches every part of your life. The most powerful thing I hope you take away from this is that if you're neurodivergent, your brain isn't less than, it's just different. Understanding the architecture of your own mind, your working memory, your flexibility, your impulse control is the key. It lets you stop fighting against your brain and finally start working with it. It gives you permission to be kind to yourself, to ask for what you need, and to finally see the incredible strengths that come from your unique way of thinking. If this helped you feel a little more seen today, please consider subscribing. Your journey of understanding yourself is important, and you don't have to do it alone. Follow us on Patreon for more support and resources, and check out our DigiTees page for mindful apparel.